I call this meeting to order. Please make note that all board members are in attendance tonight. I would like to call Brad Robbins to lead us in our invocation, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, we are so privileged to be able to come to you tonight, to be able to do the business of this school district. Lord, it's a noble pursuit, and we're just so blessed again to be able to be put in this position to discern what's best for our school district and moving forward. And Lord, we just pray that you'll be with us tonight as we listen to the information and be able to make good decisions for the future of our school. Pray that you'll be with all of us as we go our separate ways. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Board members, you've received the agenda for the meeting. May I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
A second?
I second.
All those in favor of approving the agenda, please raise your hand.
All right. Thank you, board members. Before we kick off the final phase of our report card update from our principals, we got a special recognition that I would like to ask Dr. Daniel Ferris and our athletic director at Prattville High School, Mr. Blake Boren, to come forward with Ms. Lanaya Page. So you guys come on up.
Go ahead, Coach. Yeah, appreciate everybody coming. We are excited. As you've probably seen over the last few days, we've been really blessed here in Prattville to honor one of our most talented female athletes, Miss Lanaya Page. She was selected, really, I guess, about this past October or November, by the NFL Flag Commission as one of the top 32 flag football players in the country. Subsequently, she was invited to go out during the week of the Super Bowl and take part in the festivities there, which coincides with the Pro Bowl for the NFL, and be one of the NFL flag participants for the NFL High School Flag Pro Bowl. So it was a tremendous achievement, and we're proud of you. On top of her being really a model student athlete, represents everything that's right with high school athletics, a multi-sport athlete, a tremendous asset to our school and local community, and is really adored by her peers and students there. So we wanted to have you here to let you talk a little bit about your experience and kind of fill us in. Obviously, if you watched the Super Bowl, I would touch too that she was probably the most prominently featured Prattville student athlete. That little piece was shown worldwide. Over 100 countries saw that advertisement that came out, and NBC filmed it here in Prattville. So it was a tremendous honor for our flag football team and for Lanaya, and we're proud of your accomplishments. So.
Okay. I got a lot written down on my phone because the trip consisted of bits and pieces. So once again, I'm Lanaya Page. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, but I was chosen to go to California and compete with 32 of the best girls in the country. They were the best girls in the country. Okay? Oh, okay. Hold on, guys. Okay, I'm in the frame. Hi. Okay. So, I want to share my experience while I was in California. To start off strong, I had to get up at 5 in the morning to go to the airport. By the way, this was like beyond the worst part of the whole trip, getting up this early to hop on a plane. Me and my family flew from Birmingham to Denver and then Denver to California. On my first day, I got to meet all of my teammates and the girls that I was competing against. I also got to meet some of the USA national women's players. They are really, really good. Really, really good players. It was a big shock to meet them. After everybody met and learned a thing or two about each other, we went and had a bonding night. The next day, we had practice, once again, bright and early in the morning. In the morning, I got to train with some of the best coaches who did nothing but make sure all the players on the field performed to the best of their ability. After practice, we got to listen to some of the NFL players and we got to listen to the NFL players talk about all the hard work and dedication that it took to get where they are now. Also got to talk to some of the strongest women working in some type of sport career and how they did it, because most of their fields that they were like revolved in or involved in, it was basically ran by males. Like you didn't see a female in those type of careers. So it was really cool to hear how they got there and all the obstacles that they had to jump over to get into it. And lastly, there was game day. There was a lot of nerves, but I was going into it with the mindset of, regardless what happened, like, I'm just grateful for the experience and ball knowledge that came out of the trip. I was blessed to have met so many strong and talented people, and I couldn't have asked for more. During the game, I had multiple breakup passes, and even though we lost, I still got to celebrate a great time in California with some of the best girls in the country. To close out, I just want to say thank you to my school, and thank you to the city for always supporting and rooting behind not just me, but the whole flag football program. I couldn't ask for a better town or even a better group of people to have celebrated and worked towards this goal with. And does anybody have a question? Like, just out of curiosity? If not, thank you.
And let me add, I want to add too, Lanaya, last Friday signed. She was one of our flag football. We had 3 student athletes sign. She signed with Shelton State. Lanaya is a Division I Power 5 SEC caliber flag football. It has not yet made it to Power 5 and SECs, but she and I had a conversation the other day. When she gets done with the 2-year school, we'll play SEC flag football. You know, flag's an Olympic sport now, so I don't think this is the end of your journey at all. Lanaya's going to have more NIL money than all of us here in about 2 years. And, yeah, no doubt. But we are very proud of you, and congratulations on your signing as well.
Thank you.
Now, Lanaya, you may not want me to tell some of the rest of the story. So, Coach Leak, if you're watching, now back in the day, I will neither confirm nor deny if I may have coached Lanaya some softball, and Coach Leak, I'm just telling you, she can swing it. She can play some softball too. So, very proud of you. Keep up the great work. All right, we're going to move right ahead with our strategic plan update. I believe Billingsley School will be first, Mr. Griffin. Now, to our viewers watching again, this is the second time we've had our new technology. I hope you see a really good, clear picture and can hear okay. But again, this is a new system, so there may be a delay. We're working out some kinks on it. I think we're much better ready to go on the second session than we were the first. But huge shout out to Mr. Conyers and his team for making it happen. So. Waiting on you. Yep.
Okay. Good evening, Board and Superintendent and Central Office staff and community. We appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. And thank you for the opportunity to serve as the principal at Billingsley. I love my little community and I love the folks out there. So it's been an honor to serve them. So I'm looking forward to sharing information with you tonight about that. So if we have any issues with technology, Mr. Conyers is sitting right there. Okay, so this is our report card, and so I always want to make sure I do this before I ever get started. I want to say thank you to our students, to our parents, to our guardians, to our faculty and staff, to the central office staff, the superintendent, and you as a board for supporting Billingsley School. We have a B on our report card. It is an 83. That is the second highest score since reports have begun being issued in 2016, 2017. In 2022, 2023, Billingsley School had an 85. So we are very pleased and honored to have that. We have celebrated that, and I have thanked everybody that I can possibly thank there for their efforts on that. That was an increase of 4 points from the previous year. So we did make efforts and gains, and we're looking forward to seeing what we can do next year as well. So I'm going to go over this real quick. We had a 58.09 on academic achievement, a 93.27 on academic growth. I know you've heard these several times, so you understand what that is. Had an 87.80 on graduation rate, a 13.91 on chronic absenteeism, and an 87.80 on college and career readiness. So before I start going over the data, I want to go over our strengths and weaknesses because I know sometimes data becomes overwhelming when you see so much of it. Our strengths are we are at or slightly below the state local average for ELA, English Language Arts. I'm very pleased with what we're doing with our English Language Arts program. Our higher proficiency on the ACT, ELA, is higher than the district average. So again, ELA is a strength for us. Our weakness, and I'm always very honest, is math and science. We are lower average and significantly lower average in math and science, and our proficiency on our ACT math and science is also significantly lower. So we're doing really good on ELA. We need a lot of work on math and science. So I'm going to look at the data real quick, and then we'll go through that information. So you can see in second grade, 57%, Alabama 60%, so we're at the average. For math, 33%, 46%, we're below. And you're gonna see a trend here. Billingsley, 52%, Autauga County, 73, 65, so we're at or around that, but we're a little bit lower there. Math, we're significantly lower, 18% compared to 46%, 50%, 56% for the district. Fourth grade, Billingsley School, 57%, state average 61, 34, math. So we're making a little bit of gains in fourth grade, but we're not up to that level yet. Fifth grade, Billingsley School, 72% ELA. That's above the state average. Math, 36. We're getting closer in fifth grade. Sixth grade, Billingsley School, 80% ELA. We blow it out of the water right there. I mean, that's outstanding. Math, 41%, and we're doing really good compared to math there. So that sixth grade group from last year's, we're doing good. Seventh grade, Billingsley School, 40% ELA, 57%. So we start to decline there in seventh grade. 9% compared to 24% in math. That's a problem. Eighth grade, 47%, 42% ELA, 7% math. That's an even bigger problem. So there's a trend there. You see, we're holding our own in ELA. We are not holding our own in math. Science, Billingsley School, 42 students, 16% at or above grade level in science. So again, math and science is an issue. 11th grade, proficiency in ELA, math and science. This is the ACT. I'm very pleased with this, and so you start to see a little bit of improvement here. 48% of our 11th graders were proficient in ACT ELA. That's, if you compare those numbers, that's really good. That's really good. 11th graders in math, 21%. We hold our own compared to the school system. And then in science, 25% compared to 30% for science. So you see a trend there. We're struggling in elementary, middle school, math and science, and then we start to pick it back up in 11th grade. All right, so here is our action plan that we pursued last year. So we have math and reading specialists on our campus. They do a really good job. They work diligently to do what they need to do. We hired 2 part-time interventionists on the elementary level last year. One works with lower elementary, works with upper elementary, and they are consistently trying to improve those scores, both math, science, reading. And there's a consistent, and I say consistent, it's almost a daily review of data and emphasizing improvement. So we're working diligently to try to improve those scores and to maintain those ELA scores. Our action plan moving forward, we're going to continue doing what we're doing currently, and then we have put an incentive program in place for chronic absenteeism. It's amazing what the bribe of hot dogs will do to kids to get them to come to school. So we're focusing upon making sure they're coming to school. Also for our ACAP, ACT test performance, we're partnering with our PTO to help us with some things related to motivate them to do well in their test. We're emphasizing STEM education, our outdoor classroom, robotics, math and science programs to try to begin focusing more and more on math and science there at Billingsley. Next year, and this is going to be a big I'm just going to throw it out there. We're going to move to the block schedule next year to increase instructional time. So that'll give us both semesters of math instruction. We'll do 1 semester of regular math and 1 math lab. And it will also give us the flexibility for students who want to take more classes at the Career Tech Center. We're going to look at what our units look like and potentially hire a part-time interventionist on the secondary level and continue to work and try to motivate our students to do better in math and science and ELA. Any questions?
All right, got a few. Just looking at second grade through fifth grade, on ELA and math, it was below Autauga County's averages in both those. Any reason why, and kind of what are our goals for this year?
So we are continuing. I'm glad you asked that, Mr. Allen. So here's our iReady scores for this year from our testing in the fall compared to the winter. And you'll see that there is some growth occurring there as it relates to both reading and math. We're diligently working to try to get that improved. I really don't have a reason for that. The historical data says that typically in Billingsley, that has been an issue for a long time as far as at or above grade level, and you'll see that. Only thing we can do is continue to work with our teachers and try to increase the rigor in the classroom to try to improve that.
And add to that too, Mr. Holland, I think it's good that you guys know this as well. Obviously, this data came in over the summer. One thing that we did at Billingsley, we did add a couple of extra units, and what he's doing with intervention, Mr. Griffin, correct me if I'm wrong, but he has 2 part-time teachers that are targeting, one of them's targeting K through 3, and then the other teacher is targeting students in grades 4 through 6.
That's correct.
So we did add that layer as well to try to get the kids on grade level.
Yeah, we have more resources being used there to try to improve that than I think there's ever been in the history of the school. So it's a battle between ability and motivation. So we're at a point where we're trying to motivate our students to do well. And so we're using all kind of things to make that happen. Hot dog lunches and hamburger lunches and the potential for drawings for electronic devices and all kind of things. So whatever we have to do to motivate them to do well, we're going to do that. So.
And then what else do you need from the board to meet your goals? What can we do to support?
Just continued flexibility to allow us to use the part-time folks and do the things that we're doing. Y'all have, and Mr. Woodfin has been more than supportive. It's what we want to do out there. I appreciate the flexibility to make those changes. I really feel like the change to the block schedule will help some based on the small numbers that we have. I think it will help our teachers as far as the number of preps they have and amount of time they have for instruction. So I just appreciate y'all being supportive of allowing us to do what we got to do at the local level to make it happen.
Any other questions for Mr. Griffin? All right. Thank you, Mr. Griffin.
All. Thank you all.
If I recall right, I believe Ms. Harry's next. Is that right? Yes, sir. All right.
I've got my notes, so. Good evening, Kristen Harry, principal at Pine Level Elementary School. Thank you, Chairperson Jackson, Vice Chair Glover, Ms. Crockett, Mr. Holland, Mr. Robbins, Superintendent Woodfin, and our central office staff. Thank you so much for allowing me to present this data to you. I'm going to go back and forth between data and data because math is my thing. So ELA is not my expertise, but we're going to jump in. So I'll go back and forth using those words. I just want to say this is my 10th year as principal at Pine Level Elementary School, and I cannot move forward with anything talking about our report card score without saying what a pleasure it's been and a privilege it's been to be principal at Pine Level and to have 10 years at the same school. I have the most phenomenal administration to support me and my 2 assistant principals that are here with me tonight, as well as teachers and students. And so without everyone working together and the staff in the building as well, without us working together, we would not be able to have the student achievement. Without our students working hard in Pine Level, we would not be able to have the achievement that we have had over the years and the growth that we've had over the years. So I wanted to begin with that. Also, our state report card reflects achievement and growth between second and third grade. But I've always tell my teachers and my staff, started the very first year that I was principal, and I started by saying that we're not going to focus on achievement, we're going to focus on growth. We are in the world of public education, and what walks in our building, the students that walk in, we welcome them, we want them in our building. But we can't determine what students walk through our building. They come in, we take them gladly, and then we take them where they're at, and then we grow them. And so we decided 10 years ago as a staff that we were going to develop a climate and culture of growth. And we felt like that if we grew our students, then that would lead to eventually proficiency and achievement would come. And we've seen that at Pine Level. So when I first came, as that math person that I am, I dug into the data from the year before because I wanted to know what I was stepping into as a first-time principal. And so I was able to go back and find the information. We didn't have a state report card, but I calculated it because that's what I do. And we would have been somewhere in the low C level at that time. And so I wanted to know where we were at as a school and what we needed to do to get started. And so very quickly, I'm just going to share, what we've done in those past 9 years. and then move forward to the report card, if y'all don't mind. So it started in 2017. We were at ACT Aspire was the test, if y'all are around during that time. So we had 68, that was the very first year, the end of the first year, 68.72% achievement. We see 92.72 right now, so I just want to see that change. But our focus on growth, and this was our lowest growth we had in the 7 report cards in the past 9 years, 98.26% growth. So our focus on growth led us to 68.72% achievement and an 84 on the report card. Fast forward very quickly. The next year, 78.66 achievement, 100% growth. 81.97% the next year, achievement, 100% growth. Then we hit COVID. So a year without a report card. Second year past COVID, we took the ACAP for the first time. And when we took that ACAP for the first time, it was a baseline, so there was no report card that year. The next year, we had to recover a little bit. Everybody did from COVID. So 74.51% achievement, 100% growth. Next year, 79.81% achievement, 100% growth. 2 years ago, 85.76% achievement, 100% growth. And then this past year, 92.72% achievement and 100% growth. And so the mantra that we had, if we focus on growth, achievement will come. And so that has been the mantra of Pine Level, which I think has led to our success. And it has been truly a team effort throughout all of our staff and teachers and students. So I just wanted to share that before I stepped into the data that you're going to see above, if that's okay. All right, so 92.72 is our achievement, 100% growth. 9.4 is our chronic absenteeism, the lowest that we've ever had in the past 10 years. So we were super excited about that and led to that 96 A+ on our report card, which we're extremely proud of. So next slide, our second grade, if you want to look at the data up there, actually, I've got it written down because it's covered up just a little bit. In ELA, 74, and math, 67. Our state average for second grade is 60, and so 14% higher than state average, and then state average for math, 46. So we had a 67. So very proud of our second grade students last year. Third grade, ELA, 84, state average, 65. Math, 75, state average, 46. Fourth grade, ELA, 73, state average, 61. Math, 58, and our state average was a 42. Fifth grade, 81 ELA, state average 68. Math, 78, state average 40. So we are extremely proud of our scores, our teachers, our students, and how they did throughout the testing, the ACAP from last year. And positives, I think I've shared a lot of positives so far, but one thing that I want to say is about Pine Level is our teachers know their students. Like, they know the data. They know everything about each kid that walks into their classroom. We start during in-service, and they receive the data of the students from the year before, and we begin breaking it down and finding out exactly what the needs of our students are so that we are prepared on day one to begin instruction exactly where our students need to be. And that is a strength. That is another part of our culture that we have developed at Pine Level, and I attribute that to hardworking teachers. Our teachers don't wait. In fact, they're begging me for that data throughout the summer. They're begging me so that they could go ahead and get started and get ready for the next school year, and I attribute that just to what we've been able to develop over the last 10 years in that area. So that is a positive. Another positive, I would be remiss, every grade level grew. So every time they would go from second grade to third grade, students grew in ELA and math from 2 years ago to last year. But my fifth grade teachers did a phenomenal job in growth, and all the teachers did a great job, but I would be remiss not to point out the growth in fifth grade as a huge positive. Fourth grade, the year before, their achievement, those students were 55%. And in fifth grade, they grew in math, 55%, and they grew to 78%. So 23% growth from fourth grade to fifth grade. And then in ELA, those same set of kids took the ELA, and they started out 65% in fourth grade that last year or the year before, and then 81% proficient, which is 18. I'm sorry, I can't read without my glasses. Is that 16? 16%. Growth. So that is just a highlight for us. And it is a huge positive in our building. And so areas where we can grow in, special populations, we can always grow, especially in our special education. They grew, our students grew, our ones grew to twos, our twos grew to three in our special populations, but we want to fill those gaps and bring them up to their max potential. We want them to grow as much as they can possibly grow. So we're continually focusing on our special education. My special ed teachers come and have one-on-one data meetings with me, just like all my other teachers come and have one-on-one data meetings to explain their students in what areas they need to work on themselves, as well as the gen ed teachers for those special ed students. Another area is our math. We can see there's a drop statewide in fourth grade math. And so if you look at fourth grade math, it dips down for everybody. We were able to not dip as much, but that has been attributed to our vertical alignment. And so continuing to look at the course of study and look at the vertical alignment in math, we have been able to close that gap, but that is still an area that we want to focus on. We have noticed in the course of study that the rigor jumps from first to second grade in math, and then there's another jump of rigor from third to fourth grade, and then from fourth to fifth grade. And so we have really taken a lot of time for our teachers to meet together to tear apart the course of study and to see where those gaps are so that we can fill those gaps so they can be prepared for the next grade level. So we're still working on that, especially in that fourth grade area. So those are some areas of growth that we'd like to see. I will say, also, I want to go ahead and say, as Mr. Harrison comes up next after me, he has already sent over, one of the things that he's already initiated at his school at Marbury Middle is sending over his sixth grade teachers to meet with our fifth grade teachers to begin that vertical alignment in math for Marbury Middle School. So I give a lot of props to Mr. Harrison and credit to him as he's come in as a first-year principal at Marbury Middle to go ahead and begin that process. He's seen the data, he's seen his data, and he wants his students and to continue that growth on to Marbury Middle. So I'm super excited about that. So opportunities for growth, writing is one of our opportunities for growth. We can always grow in writing. Students hate to write. Y'all know that. You see iPads, you see phones in their hands all the time. You don't see crayons, and you don't see children coloring. When you go out to a restaurant, you don't hear anything anymore. Because if you look around, every child's got a piece of technology in their hand. And so I think that is a area that we have to really think about when they're coming to pre-K and kindergarten. What have these students been exposed to? And it's a challenge to get them wanting to write and to learn starting out in pre-K and kindergarten. All right, do y'all have any questions for me?
You know, when you talked about when you first came in and growth is kind of what your goal was going to be focused on. How did the culture of your school, how did you get your buy-in from your teachers of all pulling in the same direction that was going to be the goal of Pine Level Elementary School?
Well, one of the first things that I went to when I received the position is I went to my dad, who was a longtime pastor at First Baptist Church here in Prattville, and he said, don't change much. As a first-year principal, don't come in and do a lot of change. So I chose two things to focus on. One of the things, I listened to the teachers. They wanted to see stronger discipline within the school, and so they wanted us to shore up the discipline so that they could have the freedom to teach. And I felt like that was something that was given to me as a teacher, and then I was able to do as an assistant principal. It's what inspired me to go into administration. It was because how well it was done for me at Prattville Junior High when I was a teacher there. And so we shored up discipline. And then we focused on the data. I said that if we focus on this, we'll do these two things together. Everything else can stay the same. We'll do these two things together. And then we started just slowly chipping away at it. And I had always torn apart our data. Prattville Junior High had that was a thing way back in the day when I was there. Mr. Agee did not allow us not to look at our data and figure out how we could grow. And so, and I'm a math person, so I just felt like that was one way we could focus in, get the teachers to focus on. We did some things school-wide. We did some team building things school-wide in order to make sure that we realized we were not only, your grade level was not the only group of people in the building. We were there as a team. And constantly reminding them that it began at pre-K. It begins in kindergarten. They don't just show up in second grade and third grade ready to take the ACT Aspire at the time or the ACAP now. it starts at the beginning, and we've got to give props to those teachers that lay that foundation so that when the testing, the state testing comes, they're ready. They've got that foundation. They're not having to catch up 3 years. And so giving props to all of our teachers in the building and making sure that they understood I appreciated them, even though when we came to state report card time, their grade was not on the report card, as far as their grade level was not on the report card. But those are just some of the things that we did, building time together, grade level planning times, making sure they had time to plan together and work together, built that unity.
I have a question.
Sure.
Since everything seems so strong, I do want to ask, what struggles do you see, or do you have with pre-K or K through 2?
Sure. Okay, so, we all know that students are coming in with more challenges these days. If you don't know, please come visit. It's the students just come in with more challenges. We're seeing that. I attribute that to several different things. I'm not an expert by any means, but I do know, again, like I mentioned before, technology. I did an experiment with my husband at Walmart, and I walked into Walmart, we were grocery shopping, and I said, "What do you hear?" And he looked at me, and he was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "What do you hear?" And he looked around, and I said, "You don't hear anything other than people shopping." And I said, "Look around. Every child that was in a grocery cart, every child that was walking around with a parent had a piece of technology in their hand." And so that technology leads to so many different things. It leads to rapid fire in the brain, where we develop ADHD, and there's a lot of science behind behavioral disorders that come with students that are addicted to those tablets and addicted to gaming devices at young ages. And so we are seeing students come with much greater challenges than we ever have before. Each year it gets harder and harder. We have students with more behavioral challenges, and we're having to figure that out, especially at, the pre-K level. We have first-class pre-K, and the grants that we receive for first-class pre-K pretty much cover just the salaries of the staff. And so when we have students that have challenges and they need additional adult support, and they need additional aides in those classrooms in order to support the teachers, that comes from our local school budget, not our local school budget, but our central office budget. And they have been wonderful to support us, but that's a lot. I know that's a challenge as they come in, but we have to have them in order to make sure that we are handling those behavior challenges, and then also that we're meeting the needs of all the students that walk through the doors.
Any other questions? Great job, Ms. Harry. Thank you so much. All right, next we have Marbury Middle, Mr. Bill Harrison.
I want to thank Ms. Harry for the kind words. I have not been called a first-year principal in quite some time. I'm going to go over with you where we are with our report card, and then we're going to talk about where we're going and how we're going to get there. Okay. Marbury Middle School scored an 80B overall for last year's performance. Academic achievement was 69.6, growth 87.11, and chronic absenteeism was down to 11.36. As a new principal coming into Marbury for the first time, I pulled historical data just to get a picture of the direction that our school has been moving. If you'll look at the little handout that I gave you, I apologize, it's not going to be up here, but you can see over the last few years, our achievement growth has grown. 2021-22 is 60.66, and it's grown consistently up to 69.60 this year. I put that in yellow because that's not where we need to be. We need to be higher than that, but it is a move in the positive direction. Contrary to that is growth. If you'll look at our growth, it's consistently gone down. Right now we're at 87.11. We've been in the 90s up until this year, and so that has to change. Our chronic absenteeism, it's in green, it's 11.36 as compared to the previous years of 18, 31, and 30. Our overall grade on our report card over the past few years has hovered right in the range that it's in right now. between 80, 82, 81, and 80. That's your 10,000 feet up view. Now let's move on a little bit closer. Sixth grade, our sixth grade numbers in ELA indicated that compared to other schools in the system, we're slightly below the system average with a 69%. In math, we're slightly above the system average with a 43%. That's sixth grade. Whoops. Our seventh grade ELA scores are above the county average with a 63%, while seventh grade math drops to 18%, which is slightly below the system. And you see the trend as they go to eighth grade. Eighth grade students scored significantly below the system average in ELA and math, with scores of 54% and 16%. Finally, eighth grade science scores were 29%, which is also significantly below the system level. Okay, now what are we going to do about it? Look at the handout that I gave you. It says action planning. I broke these into two sections. What we're doing now, those are our short-term goals, and then I have our long-term goals as well. Short-term, I can tell you, the first week that I came on the job, I pulled the ACAP scores for our teachers from last year, the students that they taught last year. By the fourth week of school, third week of school, I met with our teachers. I gave them the data. I had them go and spend some time studying that. And we talked about how close our students were. We had a lot of students who were at level 2, but were maybe 5 to 6 points away from a level 3. That makes a huge difference. We had a lot of students who were at level 1 and level 3 who could have easily gone to the next level. So I posed the question to the teachers at that time. I said, if you had it to do over again, if you knew that these kids were going to score here, what would you do differently to take them over the edge to the next level? Okay? And we had some great discussions about that. All right? So I sent them on their way. So about a week later, I called them back in. And they gave me their answers and everything. And I gave them a new set of data. This was the data for the kids that they have right now and how they scored last year. I said, now's your chance. You told me how you were going to improve them. Now look at these students and look how close they are to the next level. What are you going to do to take them to the next level? And so that's how we started the year off as far as our data diving, okay? And our teachers, they were really excited to see that. So I thought a little bit more about it. I thought, well, let's start talking to the kids. So I took the 8th grade. My counselor took the 7th grade. And my assistant principal took the 6th grade. And we started meeting individually with students. And we showed them the ACAP, the little chart, the pretty little chart with the levels and where they are. We explained that to the students. And we talked about how if you scored at level 2 and you're only just, 5 points away. I said, what would you, how could you get to the next level? About 90% of them said, I'd try. Okay. Most of them, heart-to-heart talks, told me they really didn't try that hard. It was just another technology thing, okay? So what we've done is we've shown the students exactly why they're doing the ACAP. It's not just another test. We're turning into a self-challenge for the students. That's what they do on their video games. It is a self-challenge. That's what they look at where they are right now, and they try to go to the next level. So that's what we're doing with the ACAP as well. Okay? I established a building leadership team that's focused on academic improvement and growth. Okay? Now, we talk about the other parts of the building, the physical and all that stuff, but mainly what we're talking about in our building leadership team is how to get to the next level, how to move out of that 80, 81 range and get closer to a 90 range. Clear and concise communication regarding accountability indicators, what I just explained, the why behind the data points, definition and understanding of student achievement and growth. I think everybody on that campus now knows what our goal is and why we're trying to reach that goal. Protection of instructional time, that's a big one with me. It was a big thing at the high school. It's a big thing now. I don't like to interrupt classes for any reason. I know there are times when we have to, but the staff has learned real quick that we're not going to interrupt instructional time. We've hired an interventionist, and that interventionist's done a great job working with our students who need remediation. We've had the individual student data meetings that I told you about, and we're increasing instructional rigor. That does not mean increasing from 5 worksheets to 10 worksheets. That's not rigor, okay? What rigor is deeper problem solving, analysis, teaching students how to problem solve. What Ms. Harry mentioned about the technology, I taught school when there was no technology, okay? And my opinion is that, we have pushed so much technology on students that we're not teaching them how to be problem solvers anymore. It's a shallow level of problem solving where some of us older guys, we really had to dig deep. Young people now have a computer to do that for them, and so I think that's something that they're missing out on. Long-term goals. Right now we're on a 7-period day, and I feel like my day consists of coming to school and running out to the hallway to do supervision and stepping back into the office, turning around and running out into the hall to do supervision. They don't have enough time in their classroom. That's going to change next year. We're looking at several models. We're leaning more toward a block type schedule. We hadn't decided for sure yet, but we're definitely not going to do a 7-period schedule that we're doing now. We're going to restructure the over-reliance on technology as a valid intervention, okay? Since 2010, 2011, that's been all the rave. Technology. Well, the research is starting to come out now, and it is not good. So we're going to be moving away from technology, and we're going to get back to human contact, okay? We're going to focus, actually already are focusing on effective pacing and critical standards. That's a long road to go down. We're going to ensure that classrooms are places of critical thought and application. We brag about our STEM programs. There's no reason why we should not have that same school of thought in every class that's taught at Marbury Middle School. Professional learning will be focused on teacher clarity and proficiency scales. We've already started that. We're diving into John Hattie and what works and what is research-based techniques that work in the classroom. We are formative assessments. We're going to move toward looking at why we're evaluating students. It's not going to be just for a grade. Why do we test students? What do we want to know? And how are we going to use that information to move on to the next level for students? As well as what Ms. Harriet mentioned, the systematic vertical teaming to include elementary and high school. We started with elementary this year. We're vertically teaming between 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Our next step will be working with the high school. That's kind of where we are right now. The scores are not where I want them to be, but I can tell you, as long as I'm there, we're going to move toward getting those scores to where they need to be. Questions?
First, I'd like to say thank you for your action planning steps. It's always good to see it in writing. Why do you think 8th grade, as far as you dip all the way through, you mentioned it, you think not motivated, or is there something curriculum based?
The state falls off a cliff from elementary to middle school. We fell off a steeper cliff at Marbury Middle. I looked at the tube, the state is here, and we just tanked. If I knew that answer right off the top of my head, I'd probably be a millionaire. I would not be a principal. I'd be writing a book on how to teach middle school. We can assume all day long. We just have to keep trying different techniques to see what works for our program.
Well, that leads me to my next what's your data showing you currently as far as this year?
I can't hear you.
What's your data showing you for this year currently of what you've implemented? Are you seeing on your benchmark tests, are you seeing improvements?
We're not. The iReady, we've taken iReady, and it's not good. we're not showing any progress on iReady. We've been doing this, my understanding, for a year and a half now, and I'll take full responsibility for that. I adopted it when I came in, and there was a system in place, and I went with that system. Looking back on it right now, I think we didn't do it right. I think we overkilled it with, we ended up using, we have a bulldog period where we practice iReady. And honestly, I think that it has become a substitute for human interaction during that period. And so I'm not pleased with the results of that. So, that's just kind of where I am with that. We're looking at more other ways to actually work with remediation for students and excelling students as far as taking them to the next level from where they are now.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yes.
Board members, what I need you to know on that, at Marbury Middle last year, their data was pretty bad, so administration at that time decided to change the bell schedule. If I remember right, I believe it's about mid-year. So the students have a 30-minute bulldog period every day where they are literally working on iReady for 30 minutes a day. So one thing Mr. Harrison and I have talked about a lot this year, he hit the nail on the head, and I told him if that question came up to answer it honestly, because I'm struggling with it as well. At Prattville Junior High and Marbury Middle, both schools have a period there where students are on the computer for basically 30 minutes a day, so it's 2.5 hours a week where we're working through the iReady program. So I know we got a work session coming up after. I'm gonna get into some of that, like some things I'm looking at. But when he's talking about that period, I just want to make sure y'all understood that it's a 30-minute carve-out period at Marbury Middle where that's what they do. They're logging into iReady. It's supposed to create a path on what the kids need to do to improve. But I think the reality is some teachers are frustrated because they're losing instructional time to that, and for whatever reason, there's a barrier there with our middle schoolers that, I think we may be facing a little bit of technological burnout. Sorry, Mr. Conyers. I think we got some issues going on there that I'll highlight a little more in the work session, but.
We do, and I want to
Valid
commend our
question.
teachers. They have really, they've tried to make it work, and they have been dedicated to this program. And, it's just, what we're finding is that students are burned out on it. The students have actually learned that if they intentionally miss some questions, it'll bump them back to an easier question. I have in the past 2 weeks, I've had students actually ask teachers if they will just teach them during that period so they don't have to work on the computer. I think about that. I think it's, we've got some work to do at Marbury Middle School, no doubt. But I think I have a great staff out there they're ready to move to the next level, and I'm really proud of the job that they're doing.
Mr. Harrison, I think it's awesome that you've included the students in this unpacking of the information and the data, holding them accountable as well. And I think it's pretty refreshing that they gave the honest, I'd try better answer to that. What are they, when you're asking them, and they're saying, I'd try, what are they saying they would need to try? Like, what are they asking for?
A lot of students have just said that it just didn't matter, and they really didn't understand why they were doing it. It was basically just another iReady exercise, and so by showing them this, it kind of gives them their self-efficacy, where it's important to them because they understand what the challenge is now. So they really haven't mentioned anything other than that. So.
I'll ask this, and I'll go back. I need to ask this to Billingsley, and of course, I'll give Jimmy a heads up, it's coming. The cell phone policy. You talk about maybe the drag of technology. What have you experienced with the cell phone policy, and how has it impacted the day-to-day?
Marbury already had that in place prior, is my understanding. So we haven't had a problem with cell phones at the middle school. We've had just a few discipline referrals as far as cell phones go. Nothing like Marbury High School.
No, okay. I get you. I just, you know, it's interesting to me that there's been a lot of, I'm not gonna say pushback, but there's been a lot of conversation over that. And yet, we're hearing from you and others that there's a technology burnout. They don't wanna use these devices in their learning. So has it all just been a social balloon that we've allowed to be blown up in school?
My opinion? Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We tried to jump on the train back in 2010, 2011, that we knew the technology was becoming a thing. And we, as educators, we thought, hey, that's a great tool. We can use that. Well, all of a sudden, we started relying on it. And we started letting technology substitute us. And, it's, go back and look at the research tonight. It's crazy how much is coming out now, 15 years after the fact. And they're finding some, one article I read just about a week ago was that this generation is the only generation, usually every generation, your kids score higher and achieve more than the previous generation. This generation is the only one that is not doing that right now. And it correlates directly to the timing of technology coming into our world. So,
Yep.
my opinion only.
Yep. Stay on it. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Next up, we have Mr. Jimmy Lansdale, principal at Marbury High School. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dr. Marsh is in between. I apologize. I missed that.
Brief and quick, I want to just give an overview of the ACT, if I can get that data shown up. We don't really need to look at that right there, but anyway. I want to show you 3 different slides about ACT results and data. This is our proficiency data related to our ACT. You see Autauga County scored 28.7. Our 11th graders demonstrated proficiency in ELA assessment, 21 in ACT math, and 30 in science. And then we have our high schools. We use this language because this is the language that the state reports proficiency. There are times when we talked about the benchmarks, but the benchmarks is more suitable to understand when a kid benchmarks on the ACT, that becomes part of the CCRs, in which our high school principals will mention when they get up here in just a few minutes. I also wanted you to see not only these proficiency levels, but I wanted you to look at the ACT, the mean scores. And so this first slide demonstrates the state contract. This is when all of our juniors took the ACT in the spring of 2025. That's reflected on our report card. It compares to the state, and it shows all of our high schools, including our virtual school, which is in their first year. If you notice, we had 621 juniors take the ACT in 2025 for the state test, and the mean composite score was 17.3. ELA was 15.7, and our math was 16.7. And of course, you got English, reading, and writing, but they're the ones contributed to our ELA score, and the ELA score is the ones that's reported on our report card. And then I have the other data from our high schools, and our high schools will mention when they come up here the ACT results. Next thing I want you to look at is this is the ACT from the 2024-2025 school year. These are all the ACTs from the state administration, as well as when students chose to take the ACT. What I wanted our board to see, the difference in when the student had to take the test and when the students chose to take the test. And you see on every point, the composite is higher. Even in the 11th grade, which you see that's 805, 621 of those were from the state mandated. It's pretty impressive that from those 621, almost 200 more went back and took the test that year, and 195 of our seniors took it with a composite mean score of 20.6. So I think there may be 10 states where all students are required to take the ACT. So it's kind of hard when you want to compare national averages, because some national averages, you may have 10 students took it in a state and they scored real high. I want us to look at how well we're doing when our students are making the choice, a personal choice for their education, but be college ready. And that's what those scores look like. The next slide shows our juniors, just our juniors, and the different times they took the ACT during that year. The highlighted in yellow is the state actually mandated test. 15 of those took it in April because that was the makeup exam. But you notice 17.4 when they had to take it. When they chose to take it, in July, 23.3. In June, 22.5. And then in December before that, 20.6. So, hey, we're doing a lot better than what that state, when you have to take it. This time I'm gonna ask Mr. Lansdale to come up.
I want to thank y'all for letting me be here today to talk about the data at Marbury High School. Our report card was a 79. It's an increase of 9 points compared to the previous year, and it's the highest the report card has been at Marbury High School since they started back after COVID. And we're not satisfied with a 79. But, 9-point increase, is a step in the right direction. If you'll notice there in achievement, we have 48.9. That's an area that we need to grow in, but it was an 11.91 growth compared to the previous year. Our biggest increase was in academic growth. See, it's 87.39. That's 25.10 points above the previous year. Our graduation rate, and we'll go over this, it actually went down. It was 92.81, went down to 88.36. I'll talk about that as we get on. We should be back up over the 90% as of this year, but I'll talk about that as we go on. Chronic absenteeism, we improved by 5.21 percentage points. It was 19.67, and our college and career ready went down from 82.01 to 80.82. So we had a lot of improvement, but there's still some areas that we can improve. And before I get into the things we've done, I want to first of all thank, I couldn't have done this without my leadership team and my staff. They all bought in when we started this about, what do we need to do to move our school in the right direction. With a report card of 70 in my first year as principal, that was a very scary point for me. We had to do something to get it turned around, going in the right direction. So we met together and come up with some things. And you see a lot of this is based on the ACT test. And with my building leadership team, we put together some things, and some of the others has talked about it. Mr. Harrison talked about it. People not really taking the test seriously. So we put some things in place to make it seem important, and everybody in the building involved in it. One of the things we did is we took the 11th graders that were going to be taking the ACT test. We have homeroom once a week in our Bulldog period. Our science department had all the 11th grade except for one math teacher, which was involved as well, and we did an ACT review type thing. Mr. Harrison talked about, now we did it through a 36 University platform, which is a computer-based platform, but it was worked through with the science teacher. They took ownership of it. What they did is they took everybody's pre-ACT data. Each individual student set a goal, and then they worked through each session. Even though they're science teachers, they took each week, they would take a different area of the ACT test. And one of the positives that I'm going to point out is we went up in every category on the ACT test. Every single category was an increase over the previous year. We offered things like incentives. One of the first things we did is we decided to have a cookout for the previous year's group, that if they increased compared to their pre-ACT score or scored a 20 or above, they got invited to a cookout where me and Mr. Palmer cooked out hamburgers and hot dogs. They spent the whole lunch period out there,
gave away door prizes. We got donations for maybe beach or gift cards or things like that, anything we could get donated. And just, everybody had a ticket and we did a drawing just to build interest. This was the ones that showed a 70 on our report card. But it started building interest with the others. We did it again this year and had a whole lot, we actually had about twice as many improve over the pre-ACT or scored 20 or above. So things like that. My leadership team come up with ideas about putting ACT vocabulary around the school, just the vocabulary word and what the meaning is. That's something that, you know, people started asking questions about it. And you know, we're all building it up that it is important, making it a point. And we also talked about this too. Now, I don't want to say, okay, it's all about the ACT test. We talked to the teachers from the beginning, and the thing that we have to do, and I think we're moving in that direction, is to increase the rigor in the classroom. People come up here and talk about this, but just asking these real shallow questions, they can come up and remember things in the test, have the test, and then it's gone. You'll see as I start talking about this, I'll go ahead now. One of the big positives is math was a 17.3 on the ACT test. That's higher than the state average. You know, math's usually something that we struggle in. I have a very strong math department. They teach classes, and I hear about it from parents. You know, hey, this class is so hard, it's meant to be. They're doing it the way I ask them to. They're not going to get an A without getting in there and really working hard and putting in extra work. And, you know, some people believe in homework and some people don't, but in an Algebra 2 math class, you're going to have to do some work outside of class to be good at it. Anyway, those kind of things. We also had an ACT night, and we're continuing to do that to where we invite the parents and the 11th graders. And, you know, we had the concert band put on a little show, about a 20-minute show. We had a motivational speaker just to talk about it, but let the parents know how important things like that are. So anyway, we have done a lot of things to build interest, but making sure that the students understand that academics is important. The ACT test is important. Part of my speech, I tell them, guys, don't ever limit your opportunities, okay? You may not be planning on going to college, but, you know, don't limit your opportunities. Do your best. And one of the things as far as the cookout and stuff like that is we made it a competition about if you've got somebody that scored a 13 on the pre-ACT test, they don't think they can compete with somebody that scored a 29. Well, they don't have to. They're competing with themselves. They got to get a 14. And they get in all the things, and they get a chance to win a prize, and they get a chance to go to the cookout, and they get recognized, and they get their name on the list, and they get that period out there that everybody else don't, because you know at a high school, hey, can I get one of the members? No, you weren't on the list. We also talked about graduation, that I would explain that. It went down, graduation went down by 4.45 percentage points. I went back and looked. This year we had 9 dropouts, 3 people that didn't complete and graduate. It's compared to 5 and 1 the year before. Where we're looking at right now, it should be like 88.97 for the upcoming year. And this year we're on pace to be at a 95% graduation rate. CCR is the same thing. CCR will be up in the high 80s as compared to the 80.82. And every single senior that's still in the building at this point is on a pathway to complete a CCRI by the end of the term. Now, there may be some that's on the thing, but we should eclipse the 95% in graduation rate and CCRI rate. One of the positives I really want to point out is our dual enrollment has been fantastic at Marbury High School. We started out, and I put it on here, with 10 classes, or I say started out, and 10 different courses and 37 classes taken by students in 22-23. This year we have 29 different courses and 205 classes being taken through dual enrollment. And that's something that we push with a dual enrollment night. A lot of these is first-generation college students, so we have the university, the colleges, AUM, CAC, Alabama, and Auburn come. We meet with them, explain to them so that they understand what they have to do to take these dual enrollment classes. You know, this helps us out tremendously, and it's a great opportunity for these kids, and it's a tough education. These dual enrollment classes are college classes. So when they pay for these classes and start taking them, I mean, it's important to them. That's something that we will continue to work on. Our challenge, and I say this, one of our challenges is a 15.3 is what our score was in ELA. It's not tremendously far off the state average and everything, but writing has hurt us, and that's something we're committed to as a school. Our writing is not good right now. We've got to get them, and I've talked to the teachers, the English teachers, the history teachers, and they need to be writing in every class. And the more they do that, the better that they're going to get. Academic achievement, you'd seen that the score there on academic achievement was a 48.2. One of the things that we've done with the data of the pre-ACT is identify, didn't do it the first year, but identify all those that Mr. Harrison talked about that are close to moving up a level. We had 38 students in this past year without identifying them that way, that it went from either a level 1 to a level 2 to level 3, or level 3 to level, out of 122 taking the test, 38 of them increased a whole level. Well, now we've identified, and I've got this data to the teachers and shared it with them, that you know the ones that were this within a point or two of making it to the next level. So as he said, okay, we can concentrate. We're going to teach everybody. We're going to work on it. But if we can move these in each level up to the next level, not only is that going to really help our growth, the higher level, the more points we get in academic achievement. And I expect these to be going up over the next few years. And that's all I have. Y'all have any questions? Oh,
You had talked about rigor in the classroom. How are you, I guess, verifying that there is rigor in the classroom, that there is the writing in the classroom that you've encouraged the teachers to do? And then how are you, being on a block schedule with 96 minutes, verifying that we're using all of that time for instructional purposes?
okay, what I'm doing and trying to do, and as being a principal, you're trying to get around every day. That's something that I keep a chart of each classroom that I visit every day, try to make every class, every period, every day. That's not going to happen. But I'm also constantly talking to them about that. When I walk in there, hey, y'all just don't pay attention to me. Y'all continue what you're doing so that I'm not interrupting class. But I'm also telling them I would love to see these why questions. More than anything, when they're teaching, and I know as a teacher sometimes I had to work on this. If the boss is sitting there, the principal's there, you're quick, if you ask a question and it's dead space and they don't want to answer, you're quick to give them the answer and try to move on. Guys, that's okay. It's okay for it to be quiet. Wait for an answer. Coach them to the answer. And that's something when all the observations and stuff like that, I would like to be able to do it more. But that's the way I'm doing it right now. As far as making sure they're using the class time and using the writing stuff, it just comes from being in the classroom. The most important thing for me is to try to make it to every classroom every day. And not always does it happen, but that's what I try to do.
What do you need from us as the board of meeting the goals that you've got set? What else can we do to support you?
Well, maybe Mr. Woodford won't get mad at me. I told him if I was asked this question, this is where I'm going to go. One of the things I've asked for, and I'm trying to work it out with my units and everything as well, is I've asked for a curriculum administrator, somebody that can be in the classroom every day working on curriculum without discipline responsibilities, okay? Now, if everything went off the rails, we may have some help, but somebody that's sole responsibility, this person would be the building test coordinator, the MTSS coordinator, and will be in classrooms every day. That way, if I've got a struggling teacher, or they can actually see if they are hitting the rigor, if they are asking the why questions, if they are including the writing prompts. Somebody dedicated to improving curriculum daily is one thing that I would like to have.
Huge shout out for tutoring my daughter in pre-cal the other day. I do appreciate it.
No problem, that's what I do.
Any other questions for Mr. Lansdale? All right.
Mr. Glover, did you want to ask about the cell phone policy?
It is very popular at Marbury High
Mr.
School.
Harrison has assured me that's not a problem.
Not at Marbury Middle School.
Mr. Lansdale, if you would like to, go ahead and share your stats on that. I think it would probably be good for the board to hear.
Well, first of all, the cell phone policy is a good policy. I will tell you this, I see kids talking, especially in the lunchroom, that used to be in the lunchroom, they're gonna be, because they could be on their phones at Marbury High School in the lunchroom, and they're all on their phones, one saying, now they're talking. I think it's a good thing. However, it has hit us pretty hard. Last year, for the entire year, we had 110 discipline incidents. As of today, we have 109 cell phone violations, as of today. I told my assistant principal by mid-September we'd have this under control. We still do not have it under control. We just get them when they pull it out in class and deal with it.
Why do you think that is? I mean, why, is it because they still have personal access to it, or?
Our policy is they has to be powered off in their bag. They're gonna get it. They're addicted to it. They're gonna get it. They're gonna pull it out. I got one yesterday where walked in the classroom now. They over there on the opposite side of the room of the teacher and everything, and I kind of see it and walk back there and power it off, put it in your bag. Will you write this student up for me, please? Just put it on my desk, we'll take care of it.
Number 109.
Yep,
Very good.
yes, sir.
Keep up the good work, Jimmy.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? All right, last but certainly not least, representing Prattville High School, Dr. Ferris, come on up.
All right, well, first and foremost, I want to thank Mr. Wolf and his staff and Board of Education members for this opportunity to talk about Prattville High School. I love Prattville High School. It's kind of like your family. Spent a lot of time and effort there, and I like to talk about my family, and I like to talk about Prattville High School. With that being said, if we can get our report card. Do I control that? I'd like to reference the report card score to 79. This is the highest Prattville High School's had in 6 years. You have a progression coming off of COVID of 73, 75, 75, and now it's 79. If you look at academic achievement, 49.24, this is a 3-point jump from last year. Our composite math and ELA score are both slightly exceed the state average. I would like to reference, it is a constant struggle when you think about the ACT does not always reflect the Alabama State Department of Education standards. So, and it goes back to Dr. Marsh's conversation earlier about at Prattville High School, you see a solid at least 2% jump in ELA and math on how your ACT scores look versus the kids that want to take it versus the whole school taking it. You know, I don't want to get off track here, but you know, you think about ACALP data, that's based off the state standards. And I said that to say this, at Prattville High School, we're constantly working with teachers and determining, the goal is to mesh your state standards and intertwine teaching the ACT at the same time, but I'm not real sure that that's always possible to do. Teachers follow the county's pacing guides, and they feel bound to those, rightfully so that's the state standards. But we also have to take time to do some strategically identified ACT prep as well. If we look at growth, 82.15, this is a 1-point jump from last year to about 81. This is the area that we have the most room for improvement to earn points on the report card. 30% of our report card at Prattville High School is growth. It's usually only, I think, 20%, but we don't have enough students in the EL department to earn an EL score. So growth is worth 30% of our state report card. And, you know, we're at a 79. I've been saying for 2 years to faculty and staff, you got to have a vision. Without a vision, you're going to perish. With that being said, we will be a B school. Prattville High School is going to earn a B on the state report card. I can assure you, if I continue to stay here, and I hope I am, I have no plans of leaving, but we will be a B on the report card. But we've got to focus on academic growth. And so I'm going to talk about several things we're doing for academic growth because we know that's where we can earn more points and earn points potentially quick. So what are we doing? In August, we had data meetings with all our 11th grade ELA and math teachers. They took the pre-ACT scores and they charted them. And they're looking at students that are on the cusp of being level 2s and level 3s as identified by the State Department of Education. Our teachers, they noticed that on the pre-ACT scores, our ELA and math teachers are doing 3 interims on the ACT. We got connected with a guy that he owns a company for ACT Prep, and he has supplied us with ACT practice tests for the new format for ACT, because it did change this year. Different timing, different amount of questions. So we're implementing 3 interims with our 11th grade students in ELA and math class, October, December, and most of them do it again next week in February. And after they do that, our teachers, not only are teachers charting their scores, so our teachers, if you go to Mr. Tom Forster right now in 11th grade and say, let me see your ACT scores, he can show you a roster. It's going to have pre-ACT scores, interim 1, interim 2, and interim 3 for every kid he teaches. We're doing that in all our ELA and all our math classes. This is the first year we have done all these interims. So last year we did 1 interim test in January. And not to talk too much about this, but I did go to some conferences and talk to some principals, and they felt like the most success they've had is by doing ACT interim tests during the school year, so that's the reason we've started that. Students also have a data tracker sheet that they keep in their notebook, and they're charting their own data as well. The ELA and math teachers participated in decoding the ACT training on January 6th, a school-wide professional development or district-wide professional development day, great PD that day. And that training was all about trying to take your what you need to teach kids for the ACT and intertwine it with teaching the Alabama State course of study. That struggle that we've referenced earlier. I'm currently meeting with principals around the area and principals that I know in the state that have what I would say average achievement scores, such as us. Average, we're 50% on your achievement scores, but some of them are having 100% growth. I've run the numbers. If Prattville High School was at 100% growth this past year, our report card score would have been somewhere between an 82 and an 84. And we talk about that for a minute, growth. Prattville High School, we're starting to shift what we're doing with that. We think we might have been focusing too much in 9th and 10th grade on teaching them strategies, tips, and tricks on the ACT. Instead, we need to stay focused on skill-based. Just a course of study, focus on your skills. After they take the pre-ACT, at that point in time, second half of their 10th grade year and into their 11th grade year, look at those tips, strategies, and all these different things about how to score well on the ACT. One principal I talked to, I said, what did you do? Your growth is, your academic achievement is just like mine, but you have a growth of 100%. He says, I don't know what we did. So we think about that, and I start talking to teachers. What we see is we think a lot of our kids are kind of burnt out on ACT. And then you pair that with a lot of the students don't see maybe a need for that ACT score because 60% of our students indicate they're usually going to 2 or 4 year college after high school. So those are things we're thinking about. We're about to make a change pretty quick. We're about to stop talking about the ACT in 9th and 10th grade, and we're going to focus on skills. Skills kids need in English language arts and the math. And then in second half of 10th grade and 11th grade, we're going to really start focusing on ACT then. We move on to our graduation rate. Graduation rate, that is something that we're most proud of at Prattville High School. We had a 5% percentage jump there. This is the highest in 6 years. This is a 1 year in arrear. So this was not last year's graduating class, but the year before. We know next year's state report card is going to be like 89.8. It's going to be extremely close. This year, we're proud to say we're on track for about a 92.2, 92.3. I would like to reference 5 years ago, we had a grad rate of 81%. So we're extremely proud of this increase. We think we have changed the culture of coming to school, sitting in class, completing your learning assignments, and giving some effort. However, we've changed that culture. I don't know that transcends to everyone seeing that the ACT is extremely important. We're going back to that academic achievement and growth. I kind of think you kind of distinguish between grad rate versus how they're performing on the ACT. Chronic absenteeism, 10.33. This is a decrease of 5 percentage points from last year. 21-22 school year, coming off of COVID, Prattville High School was 23.5 chronic absenteeism. Currently data in January, this past January, just last month, we're trending 1 to 2 points less this year than last year. So we hope to be 10 or less on our chronic absenteeism. We're extremely excited about this. We've outperformed many high schools in this area, and research tells us the number one predictor to academic success is attending school. So we're proud of that. This is the 9th year measured by the Alabama State Department of Education, and this is the lowest year ever at Prattville High School on this report card, and we think we're going to be lower next year. College and career readiness, 85.88. You see we had about a 5% gap there. I'm happy to say that this year the plan would be have a no percent gap, because we know this graduating class, they have to have a CCR to be considered a graduate. Right now, every single senior has a plan, and that's going to match as we move forward. That is the presentation of our report card data. Any questions?
I don't have a question. I just have enjoyed your presentation. This is obviously your jam, digging into the academic numbers and stuff. So I enjoyed it. It was very exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How's your cell phone problem?
Okay, I would love to speak on that. I'm glad you asked the question. When it comes to discipline and running an orderly school, the best thing that ever happened at Prattville High School was the Focus Act. As of last week, we're in the numbers. We have 290 cell phone violations put in Power School. We usually run about 700 discipline incidents a school year put in Power School. I think this year it'll be up 150 or so. But what I would say about that is, out of 290, half of those, and I think this is important for the community to know, board members and everyone, half of those are repeat offenders. So I've run the numbers. Less than 10% of our student population have had a cell phone violation. 90% of our kids, no problems. But the numbers so high on the incidents are because repeat offenders that continue don't want to follow the Focus Act and the board policy that's put in there. And ultimately, we're following progressive discipline. And, they're going to have to either follow the policy, or that environment won't be the best environment for them. But I will say concerning disputes in the school, drama in the school, and focus in the school, we have seen that everything is a positive with all that with the cell phone Focus Act.
Hey, curious you were talking about the interim ACT test. You said last year you gave it one time, and this time y'all did it 3 times. Mm-hmm. What was the rationale of giving it more times? Did you see a benefit from last year?
Well, so full transparency, data meetings at the high school level, right, wrong, or indifferent, sometimes are foreign to some high school teachers. With that being said, what we did is we started with math last year, and we took our math teachers, and I talked to them, and we got them motivated, and we did the data meeting with them on the pre-ACT data. We did the interim with them, and they went from 49% of their kids scoring at level 2, level 3, or level 4 on the ACT to 59% in math on level 1, level 2, level 3. And the only thing different we did was we had them chart the pre-ACT scores so that every teacher highlighted the kids' names that were on the cusp of being a level 2, level 3, level 4. And they did implement one ACT interim, and they went over the scores in the classroom with the students in math in January. I learned that as talking to some people at a conference last November, principals conference, and some principal, and the principal at GW Long, their scores are amazing, and he talks about how they don't put much stock into the pre-ACT scores. What they do is they start immediately, the beginning of the junior year, taking the ACT interims. They take it 6 times. 6 times, and they're scoring, academic achievement is in the 90s and gross 100. So, and also, Mr. Holland, we're just trying a few different things because of the past 4 years with academic achievement and growth, we've just been level. We haven't been going down. We've went up a point or two, a little bit, but it's been level. So we know we got to try something different than what we have been doing, which is what we've been doing for 4 or 5 years is, okay, ACT bell ringers in all your core classes. During our line period, we're putting them on 36 University, a computer program, whatever, just trying to expose the kids to the ACT, whatever. But I think it goes back to what Mr. Harrison was talking about, the teachers. And even Ms. Harry mentioned that teachers have to know the kids' data. So that's the model we are moving towards. And year 1 at Prattville High School, I didn't focus on that. In year 2, I didn't. I was focused on graduation rate, CCR rate, absenteeism rate, whatever. We're to a point now, we got all that in a good position. Now it's time we got to focus on academic achievement and growth.
I'll say this, I agree with what you just said and all of our principals that the biggest indicator of success for our kids are our teachers in the classroom, of equipping teachers and giving them what they need. It's better than any computer, any program that we can put forth is having our teacher in the classroom. So I'll say for all of our principals tonight, hearing that was extremely encouraging.
So I have a question for you, Mr. Ferris, and then also the other principals can jump in on this too. I think the information that Mr. Marsh shared was pretty enlightening about the discrepancy between taking the ACT in the school during the mandated time versus those that are taking it afterwards. And I understand that the increased population of students taking it in school obviously can have an effect on the numbers versus the ones. But just kind of anecdotally, you know, both of my children took the ACT at Prattville High School, and it was their worst score from the ones that they did. Do you think that there's anything else that could be contributing to that lower score, like maybe the environment that it's during a class day, even though they're the only ones that's there doing that? Distractions, maybe, anything like that?
Well, at Prattville High School, it becomes a stressful day because we have, just say 500 students right at it, 450, 500 students. They're all reporting to the cafeteria. It's jam-packed full. All the teachers trying to set the rooms up. I'm going to the cafeteria and I'm briefing them on, make sure your cell phones are put away, this, that, and all that. Then it's a mass, everybody trying to move to 1 or 2 hallways to take the test. It's hectic, it's chaotic. The State Department says you have to start it by a certain time in the morning, and you know, you're in a hurry and all these type things. And what I find is that when it's on a Saturday or whenever the students sign up, they're able to, they're not going to a place where 500 students are taking the ACT. It's more relaxed, it's more calm, you know, whatever. And it's moving a lot of people. It's a huge operation, and I do think that could affect how their mindset and how they're performing and how they feel.
Was that the first time your children had taken it, or had they already taken it?
No, I think, good question. I think of my second child, that was the first time she took it, but my first child, I think it was the second time she had taken it.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, Dr. Ferris.
Thank
you. Principals, just want to tell you, I appreciate what you guys doing that. I know that's a lot of preparation, and board, thank you for letting us do that. That's been a 3-month journey now of working through the report cards. I think next year we may try to do it a little earlier. We get this data, you know, in the summer. We make plans in the summer, in August, to prepare for the data that we get. Feels a little weird giving some of this information in February, but again, that's just kind of how it worked out, but I think it's a step in the right direction. I also want to commend you all for coming up and taking the questions that came and wanting to own your data. That goes a long way, and I appreciate what you guys do every single day as well. All right, we're going to move forward in the agenda. Before my recommendation for approval of the consent agenda, I want to give you some information on the items listed on the actual agenda. Item number 2 contains all athletic field trips for this month and the coming months. Item number 3 contains supplemental pay requests pertaining to tutoring, instructional services, school activities, and other services. Item number 4 contains a list of items that are no longer in working condition and need to be disposed. Excuse me, item number 5 contains policy 4.39 that was presented in the January board meeting. Item number 6 is for approval to contract with School Spirit PR to prepare for the upcoming U.S. Department of Justice ruling that mandates government entities ensures their websites and mobile applications meet certain requirements. I'll answer little questions at the end on that as well, but just basically, there was a mandate that came down. We have to get all of our websites in compliance with the mandate, so that would allow us to do that. Item number 7 is for approval to transfer property parcel number 03-09-31-0-000-022-001, located on Tom Turner Road. The parcel is currently held under a tax lien by Mr. Stephen Bland. Mr. Bland has paid the outstanding property tax for the years from 2020 to 2024. The amount due to Mr. Bland by the Board of Education would be $1,883.03. The total expected cost for transferring the property in terms of other costs like the property tax this year, that total cost is $595. Approval of this transfer will allow the Board of Education to obtain ownership of the parcel. All prior tax obligations will be satisfied through the reimbursement of the lien holder, and the board will assume responsibility for future property taxes beginning with the current tax year, and the district will take the necessary legal action to acquire property through quiet title. The board attorney has signed off on the stated process and is ready to move forward pending approval tonight. Just a real quick side note, this is the property that is located right next to the newly constructed agricultural livestock lab. So long story short, there was a parent out there, Mr. Bland, who's awesome. He's very involved in Billingsley. The Blands are a great family. He came to us. He's been paying the back taxes on the property. That property will tie in very nicely to the new livestock area. When we were out there, it is the area that has all the really large bamboo. There's a little block there beside an old house. So he is the landowner next to it. He's been taking care of the taxes. This has all been approved by Ms. Gamble. I got to get approval tonight, and then she will finish up the rest of the process. Are there any questions with the consent agenda as presented? All right, I recommend approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Board members, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. May I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand.
All right, at this time, I recommend approval of the personnel report as presented.
Board members, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. May I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand.
All right, at this time, I would like to ask Ms. Wallace to come forward to present us with the January 2026 bank and financial statement.
Yeah, we skipped one.
I do apologize. I did miss that. I recommend approval of the employee action as presented. Before Ms. Wallace comes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. May I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand.
Now, Ms. Wallace, thank you for catching that for me.
Good evening. So for this financial presentation, this will be on the month of January. We are at 33% of our budget now. This is the 4th month in our fiscal year. So as your reports show in here, we are at 43% revenue budget. And we're going to talk about that in a minute because that's very high and unusual. But as I mentioned in the last presentation, we are behind in receiving some funds. So we'll talk about that. Our expenditures, we are at 33.79% or $33 million of our budget. Our fund balance ended in January at $68 million and our payroll was $6.9 million. So also in your board packets, you have a detail of our local revenue analysis. And as I mentioned in the last presentation in December, that local revenue analysis was low because we had not collected ad valorem. Surprise! Here comes January and we have we receipted all of those December and January ad val taxes that we received, which is a result of the increase of the revenue. Our year-to-date collected is $14 million, with the collections in January alone being $9 million. So that's a skewed number just because you had the year end where everyone has to pay their ad val taxes, and so it comes in all at one time. That number will start settling and stalling out now, And any large increases will be only relative to sales tax. But this is a accumulation of all taxes that we received. You just see this big uplift in December and January for ad val. Are there any questions regarding our financial presentation? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. At this time, I recommend approval of the January 2026 bank and financial statements as presented.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. May I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand.
All right, thank you. I do want to give Mr. Camara and Mr. Barrington a shout out. Mr. Camara is putting in a lot of miles with all the projects, so I wanted to give you a quick update on where we're at with all the projects that we got going on. The Billingsley Agri-Science facility now has metal framing with an anticipated completion in late spring. The Prattville Intermediate School Media Center renovation, that is ongoing with an estimated completion time expected early March. We've done a lot of flooring projects throughout the county. We're still doing some of those. We're expecting those projects to be completed by the end of the school year. We finally are wrapping up all the roofing projects. That should be completed by early March. We've had several major fencing projects throughout the district. Those are now complete. We're still looking at some things for next year, but there's been a lot of projects that have been needed to be done for a long time. We were able to get those squared away. Billingsley has a new cross-country track. They were able to get some money through grants and some other things. We were able to help out with it. The kids are already enjoying that, and that's been a big deal in Billingsley. Pine Level Elementary School's outdoor water fountains, that project is complete. Additional security and audio device upgrades. You know, a couple of board meetings ago, we were talking about adding some audio in places. We're still working on that. We're expecting for that to be completed late summer. That is a massive undertaking, and they're working through it pretty quickly. Spray foam projects at the Prattville High School and Marbury High School athletic facilities and within the maintenance department, those are finished. We will probably be bringing some more of those type projects before you soon, but that works through that first phase of that. We added a lot of rock and gravel to the bus parking area at the transportation department. That is complete. The erosion issue, thank goodness, at Marbury High School is complete, along with the softball field issue that we had to fix on that. That is complete as well. The elementary school erosion project, if you're familiar with that was behind the building out there near the playground, how that erosion was funneling through those areas. Maintenance and, again, Mr. Camara and Mr. Barrington did a really good job of overseeing that. It looks much better back there. That is now finished. Our technology department has moved. For those of you who don't know, that's been a massive undertaking. That they are now in the old Second Chance building. So that building has been remodeled. At some point, we will start to look at possibly moving our servers and things like that. I will bring you that information as we get moving forward. Long term, right now, the servers obviously are at the old kindergarten where the technology was. You know, that is a massive undertaking. When we start that'll be a major thing. So stay tuned there. Also, you know, we've been looking at getting a bid out for some other facilities. These will target some Title IX. I'm not gonna say issues, because I've been here all my life. It's just things that's needed to be done, especially for our female sports across the county. There's gonna be some buildings there that go out now. We don't have but so much money to be able to target those facilities. So the way that bid's gonna work, there'll be 3 to 4 buildings. I know one of them's gonna be a storage building, because there's no storage anywhere in the county for like our maintenance department. That's going to be one of those. We will tackle as many as we possibly can with the funds that we have left. Whatever we don't get funded, that will roll into what we hope to do next year with the next batch of capital improvement funds. So again, that's part of that plan to overhaul some of that. Really excited about that. Last thing on my end, you know, I've got to give, I'm sure, I don't know if Ms. Wood's watching right now or not, but came in on 2 wheels because I had the pleasure of going by Prattville Elementary. They had an art show. And, you know, Ms. Lindsay and Ms. Wood started art at the elementary school, and that was probably one of the neatest events I've seen. A huge shout out to Ms. Wood, all her team. There were so many teachers there. I saw Ms. Abel there. it was just a team effort to get that going. The pictures that'll be on social media will not do that justice. It was really cool, really neat, and so just want to give Ms. Lindsay and Ms. Wood a huge shout out. That was a really, really cool event. But that's all I got. Are there any questions for me? All right.
Well, with there being no further business, may I get a motion to adjourn? Second? All those in favor, please raise your hand. We are done.
All right. You're welcome to stay. We're going to have a board work session in about